Okay, welcome to Black Women Link Up, the number one podcast in Ohio where we bring the real back to Black sisterhood.
First of all, can we just raise our glasses, please? Because it's been a little while since the girlies have been together. So clink, 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 to a very fruitful and lovely and just a beautiful podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. So if you guys don't already, follow us on our Instagram, Black Women Link with 2Ks up. We have posted throughout the week question stickers just for you guys to kind of ask us some questions, give us some topic ideas, like so we can really dive into what you guys really want to hear from us. Majority of the questions that we got and what we're going to start out with is where have the girls been? What are some life updates? What's new with the girlies? So whoever wants to go ahead and start, what's been going on with Black Women Link Up as individuals? I guess I'll go ahead and start. I've been working hard, y'all. So this is around the time where all of the like early cuffing season babies decide that they want to be born. So I have been in and out of people's hospitals, helping my mamas get their babies into this world. It was a very beautiful job, but very time consuming, very tiring. Like, I'm not gonna sit up here and lie. I be tired. So when I'm not in somebody's hospital, I want to be in the bed. Every once in a while, you might catch me outside, but it's become very like minuscule compared to how outside used to be. Um, Shoot, what else? I was in a car accident in April. I cut my hair, colored my hair. Um, Planning to move. Like it's just a lot going on with Camille right now. So yeah, that's where I've been.
I can go.
Go ahead.
I can go next. I'm officially back from New York. I didn't move to New York. I've gotten that question a lot. Don't live in New York. I have been working a lot. I recently moved into a new place, so happy about that. The real estate industry has been booming, and if you know, I do real estate staging, so that's been booming as well. A lot of social media work, and yeah, get into the bag as I should be. Her.
Well, I've just been working as usual. I've done a lot of new direction. I've gone to a different direction with my personal social media. So I've been focused on that with recording and just my content on that and just going through that change on my social media. Been hanging out with my family a little bit more than usual now. Working on my inner self, which has been very, very beneficial, but also draining as well. Because it kind of puts me in a different aspect and, just doing different stuff that I normally wouldn't do, just trying to change that about myself. What else have I been doing? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just living in the moment and just trying to be more of a on the go spirit now instead of planning like how I usually am.
How's that going for you? From like no control over planning to like, control over planning to like not control over planning.
It's been a struggle. It's still a struggle, but it was a huge struggle at first because I love just planning out every day. But now that I'm not, it's more fun. I feel like I'm having more fun. So yeah,
That's good. That's the goal. How about Sean?
Yes, love that.
I have been, same old, working. I just had, my brother had his 30th birthday party, which that was fun. But my mother did work me like a 1099 employee, so that was pretty intense. Um, and I went to a baby shower over the weekend. That was fun. Except for, we talked about this. 2 questions. One, why isn't like the number of children you're having a part of it wasn't a baby shower, it was a gender reveal. Why isn't that part of the gender reveal? How do I know you're not having twins? They never tell you that. Like, they were like, do you think it's a boy, it's a girl? I want twins.
Was it twins that they were at?
It wasn't. That she never even told it, like, revealed that to anybody. So I was like, that needs to be a part of the gender reveal now. Like,
I think
we need
that's
another
normally,
octomom.
like-
We need quadruplets. We need stuff like that.
I think that's normally a thing that you figure out when you tell people that you're
Before.
pregnant before the
Yeah.
whole gender thing is even like,
it is.
talked
I
about.
don't know how it works.
I mean, yes, or if the
Mhm.
person just really wants to go through the whole thing like blind
Mhm.
and not really know until a little bit later, then it could be like, oh my gosh, you're having twins. But that would be outside of a gender reveal.
Would you do?
Because you would definitely know before you find out the gender if you're having multiples.
Would you do a blind pregnancy? Like you don't know how many you
Honestly,
have. I don't know if you
no.
have boys or girls. None of that.
I need to
I'm
know.
so much of a planner. So like,
Like your baby will have no clothes.
right?
Because we don't know.
Like all my baby's clothes is white and
Exactly.
gray, black. Like
all
no.
the colors are neutral.
I need to know. I'm sorry.
But yeah.
What was the second question?
Oh, shoes on babies that can't walk. What's that about? Why are you putting
I
shoes?
don't agree.
I asked my cousin. I was like, because there were other babies there, and she had a baby. I was like, I was holding her son, and I was like, why do you put shoes on this baby? He can't walk. She was like, it's an inspirational tactic. It will make him want to inspire himself to walk. And I was like, I think that's what the feet are for.
But if it's freezing outside, the baby's feet is just gonna be cold.
But what about the hands, head, and
think-
other body parts?
I think
Do you want to put your baby in full armor? Like,
That's why they have coats.
yeah, but like, no, I ain't see that baby ain't had on no mittens.
no.
That baby ain't had on no hat. So I was like confused. I was like, why you put shoes on a baby that can't walk?
I think if they're closer to walking stages, then it makes sense to start getting them. Like if you're holding them and they're starting to walk because the shoes are flatter.
Right, yeah,
That
that
makes
sense.
sense. But it's no reason why I should be spending $50 on.
You getting a
Shoes
moccasin,
that,
and that's it.
You get some socks, some cute little socks, that
some
pretend
wool
like a
ones.
shoe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is.
I
that's
see your
designed
point
to-
though, for sure. I definitely see your
scheme.
point. But the
Like,
whole
Yeah.
tactic and incentive to make the baby walk, that baby is not going to remember yesterday. So they're not going to remember you putting shoes on their feet.
The feet are enough of an incentive to make you want to walk. I think so, because if the baby ain't had no feet and was just like legs, putting shoes on it won't make you be like, oh, now I want to walk. Like, the feet are enough. So those are my two things that I took away from the baby shower. Oh, and it's a girl.
Was there baby shower meatballs?
Oh, it wasn't a baby shower. It was a gender reveal. That's what they're doing now. And it was a girl. So we're very excited.
No meatballs.
No meatballs. It was chicken though.
Some meatballs.
But you know, that's what baby shower meatballs be the one. That the spaghetti with the salad and whew,
Yeah.
that's almost worth going, you know?
The chicken.
The chicken, it was
Not the kid, the food.
yeah, the food.
Definitely got to celebrate the food. All right, so majority of what we said for where we have been is all work related. One of the questions that was asked is basically how does it feel to work and grow in the female work industry is what was said in this question. We need to like dissect what does female work industry really mean in this question. But the question is the female work industry, how it feels to work / grow in it as a female.
Well, neither of us work in a female-dominated industry, so I feel like you can't really answer that question. How do y'all feel about that?
Yeah, I don't work in a female dominant industry.
What is a female dominated industry? Like, does anybody know? Because I don't know.
I
I
couldn't
guess-
say off the top of my head.
Oh,
My
what
first
is
answer
it?
would probably be fashion, but
I'll say surrogates. That's female dominated.
I'm thinking of like nail. I'm thinking of like feminine, like girly stuff, like nails, hair, bundles, stuff
yeah,
like
but there's
that.
still men in it. Like, they
Exactly.
still take over that, too.
like I don't know. I will say, even though the industry that I'm in, it's part of a medical thing, but I am not a medical professional like by trade. The definition of a doula is not any way form of like I'm a medical professional. I have to know medical terminology, and I'm in medical settings, and I advocate for people with their medical staff. But that industry is not necessarily female dominated. But I wouldn't have my job if it wasn't for women. So
Can y'all imagine working with all females?
I do. There's only
I mean-
one male in my office.
Yeah.
So I definitely I'm around women all the time. And it's actually really a stretch for me because I prefer to hang around men. So it's kind of a lot to be around women. It's like, oh my gosh, am I doing sister? And this and
Doula
that. And I'm like, wow, I'm really around women
Yeah.
all the time. So it's different.
Transition.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely a different transition.
I think we kind of work together as females. Like the podcast is like personal, and we do it because we're friends, but it's also business. So like there will be times where we'll have to like put our friendship aside to like handle business. So I feel like we're at a stage where we're trying to figure that out now because we do want to have like a consistency with the podcast. So that's been interesting, just with like all of our personalities. But
I think
that's really the
And
only
work
experience
schedules.
I've had. Yeah, and
Our
schedule.
work schedules are
Yeah.
crazy.
That's the closest experience I've had to like female.
yeah.
If you will, work.
I think we are personally like as a podcast, we are out of the honeymoon phase. So like us all working together it is a little bit like it's not like it's like catty or anything because the basis of our podcast in the first place for people to know that we all can work together as Black females, and Black women. But yeah, just it is interesting. It's interesting, but it's also fun too. But yeah, I just think that we're like out of the honeymoon phase now, and we're all trying to work through that right now.
Okay. I think we're good on that one. Next question. What are our summer plans or goals? I know for me, I need to lose some weight, child. That's my thing. I just want to lose a little bit. I'm not really focused on a number. I'm more so like aiming towards a physique. So I guess that's like my main goal. And after July, hopefully things start to mellow out at my job so I can actually like have fun this summer and travel and, do some things. My birthday's in the summer. So I want to celebrate that, not going too crazy, but I want to have fun and get back to my old self.
Yeah, I think my personal plans are to have spontaneous fun because I usually don't do that. Last year, I was just working. I mean, of course, I'm going to be working this summer, but I just want to, have on the fly kind of fun. I want to be somebody's passenger princess.
Yeah.
So I don't have to lift a finger. And yeah, that's travel.
Plans and goals. I think. Well, I've already been kind of traveling a little bit here and there, so doing some traveling for sure. Definitely trying to get back in the gym. Now that I'm settled, I feel like I can finally get back to the gym routine. Um, and I want to start vlogging again, but to be determined. And then I think like I'm all for being outside, but I think now I want to do more like cookouts,
Yes.
more pool parties, like different excursions that I haven't done before. That are outside, obviously, so like festivals and stuff like that. Because I was never really like a festival girl. So
I've been thinking about it the whole time right now, and I want to be on somebody's boat. And that is my goal for the summer.
Cool. Gotcha. All right. Let's see. Learning to trust in the path you are on or want to be on. So I'm assuming that means like, what is our advice on trusting our path?
it's a great question.
That is a really good question.
Well, y'all know I'm going to always take it back to God. So we're trusting the process. I know I'm still learning how to do that too, as I'm in this stage of my life. Yeah, like I just think it always goes back to God. It always goes back to the source. If you don't have the source, you really can't really. You're gonna be anxious. You're not trusting the process at all. You're trusting who is over the process, basically. So that is my advice: is to trust God, have that close relationship with Him, and just relax a little bit. I know it's like really easy to try to take control of the process, but like you have to learn as you go and trust the source, basically. So my advice.
I would say pray. You want to pray for sure. And if it's something you want to do, if it's something you want to do and you're just following the steps of what it is you want to do, like say you want to become a lawyer and you have to go through some hard classes, you got to go to school and stuff like that. Well, if you're doing all those things, that's a sign you're on the right path. So just make sure you're hitting all the marks, doing all the things, and take your own advice first. Like before you ask somebody else for advice, think about what you want to do first. That's my advice.
I like it. I don't think anyone needs to be said on that one. All right. Deciphering and understanding your life lessons.
deciphering and understanding your life lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Deciphering and understanding. Oh God. Okay, so deciphering your life lessons, I would say if it aligns kind of with your goals, because sometimes shit happens and then sometimes things happen for a reason. Even though shit happens can be connected to like it's all a part of your purpose, but if you can look back and see, if this changed you, if this was supposed to make you different, if there were some type of benefits to what happened, then that's how you decipher like the good, like things that are life lessons, and then shit just happening. Like, does it connect with you? Do you feel like you learned a lesson? Things like that. So I think that's how you decipher your life lessons between the bullshit and then, what actually has meaning. And then what was the other part? I forgot.
Just understanding life lessons.
Understanding your life lessons.
Mm-hmm.
If you can connect the dots, if you see everything that happens in your life, the common denominator is you. So you're connected to everything. If you can connect the dots, that's how you understand your life lessons.
And I also think that some life lessons aren't even meant to be understood. It's just, it has to happen to build your character, build who you are, build the future you, basically. So sometimes that understanding might be left out, but it just happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm. I think a common thing that happens with everything that you go through in life is that you made it through it and you're able to look back on it and be able to tell the story behind it.
Yeah.
It didn't break you, it didn't kill you. So I think holding that in the front of your mind will help you to get through certain things. So like if you had to go through a hard lesson, you went through, I don't know, a heartbreak, disappointment, something like that, you are still able to look back on it and tell the story about it later. So when you're going through to try to like decipher and understand your life lesson, look at it as if that was a lesson learned and I'm greater now because of it. Even if you don't feel great, just putting it out in the atmosphere, saying that you are greater because of what you went through, I feel like will help you get through and really learn from what you went through.
Yeah. I think if you don't take everything so serious, that also helps too. Because things just roll off and you have to have tough skin in this life if you want to make it far. So,
True.
Yeah, I think of it as like a quiz versus an exam. So like some experiences in life are like quizzes where again, like you said, Breeze, like you get the experience from it, but something where it's like, okay, you lost someone that was near and dear to your heart. Like that takes a lot of mental, what is it called? A lot of mental strength to be able to get through that on top of everything else you have going on in your life. So that's how I decipher. And then I think really understanding takes a lot of self-reflection. So like I've recently came to a point where I've been asking myself if I've gotten into it with somebody or if something happened, like not only saying it was their fault, but what did I do to put myself in that situation? And taking a lot of more self accountability now that I'm like maturing and getting older.
Accountability is very much key in everything. It's so easy like to point the finger at somebody else when you're going through something and to blame somebody else for what you're going through. But I think this year has really taught me a lot about accountability. So that's very important that you brought that up. Thank you for saying that. Because accountability really is everything. Because you have to sit in whatever you had to go through. You're the one that has those memories. You're the one that can look back on it, and nobody can tell your testimony besides yourself. Sure. Okay. Next one is creating and keeping up. Creating and upkeeping of financial stability. I'll keep quiet on that one.
First, you'll probably need a job. So to create financial stability, you need to create income. So probably a job, or if you're really looking, maybe a trust fund. That'd be nice. But anyways, I would say opening up a high yield savings account. That way, you don't have to do anything, but you can ball out. I like that idea. So that's how you create it. Get a job first, start a savings. Maybe don't move out of your mama's house so quick, things like that. I don't recommend roommates, but when you get to that financial point, then move on to yourself.
I don't
and
recommend
then
it either.
what do you?
We've all had, well, not all of us, but I feel like we've all reached a point where it's like okay, I gotta step my shit up. Like, I'm getting older. You could say no to this, you could say no to that. Like, really, what comes first is what you want in your future and your goals for yourself. So, like, I know I want to have a house, I want to own a business, a warehouse, this, that, and the third. So, what am I doing right now to be able to financially provide for those goals? That's how I think of it.
I would say a financial advisor. I don't personally have one, but I know that helps a lot of people. I'm really into digital planning with my budgeting. So if you're really like high tech and like to be like on your phone or your iPad, I would suggest that for your finances.
Heck,
Um,
Yeah.
and also what really helps me because I know I like to spend money, I always like when I first get paid, I'll put like the amount of money that I want to save in a whole different bank that doesn't have a card connected to it, and I have to actually drive to put the money in it. So that kind of helps me because I'm lazy. I don't want to drive to go get the money. And it's just easier if I were to like transfer the money electronically, but I can't do that with the savings account. So that's something that really helps me to not spend and just upkeep my finances.
Don't hang around your friends that like to spend money. Yeah, that too. That too. So don't do that.
I've had to tell the girls like, nah, I ain't going out tonight because y'all like to be outside. Uh, and that's my weakness. Once somebody says we about to go to a certain place that has really good lamb chops, like, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Spending money
Okay.
is like my favorite thing to do. So like I can understand how you don't want to hang out with your friend that spends money.
Get two orders. You can't just get one.
Yeah.
All right.
One of my ex coworkers used to take out $100 every paycheck, and I'm like, to use for the whole month. And she's like, yeah, and I'm like, that's like going to a restaurant.
That's a crazy thought. $100 is crazy.
That's why I was like, yeah, I have a problem.
But that's why we're having pool parties and cookouts and game nights and
I mean,
everything.
it's nothing wrong with treating yourself though. Like if I had a bad day, I'm gonna go treat myself, regardless. Cause again, that mentally,
Yeah,
I
retail
gotta put
therapy is
myself.
crazy.
I gotta put myself first. And shit.
Retail therapy is the best kind of therapy.
Oh, I'm gonna get paid in like 20 more days. I can go ahead and do that now.
I'm going to buy it now. You buy the bag now. You just do it, and then that's it. You deal with the bank when you get back home.
Lauren is the friend she was just talking about to stay away from. So
Yeah, I'm that friend you want to stay away from because spending money is like my favorite thing to do next to eating.
Okay, what does soft life mean to you? What does your soft life look like for you?
I think other than the definition that we kind of like heard about, when I hear soft life, I think about like the whole soft girl era and not really like stressing over a lot of stuff, like being mentally stable and at ease, being super like nurturing. Like I'm gonna just give y'all an example. So you wake up in the morning on a Sunday morning, you put on your fuzzy robe, you got a steamer for your sheets and your comforters, you put on your fuzzy slippers, make yourself what coffee, tea, a little fried eggs, or mimosa if that's your cup of tea.
Your cup of champagne.
And you're sitting there on your iPad, like, and not worrying about this person, that person, like super on edge about stuff, and just like mentally at ease. Like I'm working towards that. So that's where I picture, how I picture the soft girl era.
Soft life to me means being able to buy whatever you want, do whatever you want, and not have any stress.
Absolutely.
And I love that.
Yeah. Part of me kind of thinks of like the old school ways of like the woman stays at home, the stay at home wife, stay at home mom, whatever. All you have to worry about is making sure that your man have a hot cooked meal when he gets home from work and make sure those kids have their homework done, they get to whatever practices they need. Everybody's fed, everybody's happy. Part of that kind of gives me soft life vibes because the man in this situation is the one that has to worry about all the bills and maintaining the more heavy lifting type of stuff. But I do agree that for me, what a soft life would look like is that carefree, stress free. It would be nice to not have to go to a 9 to 5 every day. However, even if I was given the opportunity to have a soft life, me being the person that I am, I'm still going to make something happen on my own. I'm gonna have a little like side hustle here and there, maybe 2 or 3, just because I don't know how to sit down. Um, but I don't think soft life really has to be equivalent to sitting. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like as long as you're comfortable with where you're at, you don't have to stress or worry about where this meal is gonna come from, who's gonna take care of this and that. Then I think that's what a soft life can be.
Yeah, I think it just boils down to like your definition of peace. So if peace is for you is to go to your 9 to 5, then that is your soft life era. Um, and I just feel like it's just a lot of peace, a lot of growth within yourself, and yeah, I think that's what it would be for me.
Okay. Post grad life highs and lows. We kind of talked about this a little bit on our first episode, like our very first episode. And I will say, or just reiterate, that the, I guess, low is having issues finding a job in your field that you've spent 3+ years working towards, and you're struggling to get in, or like you get in there, but you're making minimum wage type salary, and you're stressing out and you don't understand like what's really going on here. I spent all this time. I have a degree behind my name, but now I have to get the master's to really get the job that I want. And now I don't need the master's anymore. I need to have a PhD. Like it's pretty much a scam. So I guess for me that would be a low. The highs is just being out on my own. It can kind of be a low too, because of course, like finances is always like a thing for me. But I don't know. I like being independent. I like being on my own. I feel like I'm growing into my more like grown woman. I'm changing my personal fashion sense. I'm changing my uh how I keep my home and like home decor. I want to be on the more this is gold and marble and clean, minimal, and you come to my house and yes, you can sit down, but you are hesitant because you don't want to mess anything up.
Yeah, like plastic over the couch.
We're not gonna have no plastic. But yeah, I guess that'll be a high for me though, because I appreciate that part of my life. It really just shows me the growth that I'm having. Like while I'm getting ready to move, I'm trying to get rid of like old decor stuff that I have and things that I used to do, like painting. I have paintings that I'm like, oh, I guess I can sell these now because it doesn't match what I'm going for now in my new place. So yeah, it just shows me how I've grown over the years.
Post grad currently for present day Lauren has been just going right back to the wolves in school, you know. I'm back, just going back to school. The high I would say about I'm gonna start with the low. The low to post grad life, you realize all the free stuff you had access to, like that you don't have anymore. And I miss that. I miss walking across campus and going to get food or going to get free meal swipes or like there's pizza in some random room. Like all the free meals, like you think about that later and you're like, damn, I should have got pizza back on Monday at 7 p.m. in 2017, you know?
Yeah.
So I miss that. And then you had access to your friends more. And it's like all you did was hang out and eat. And I mean, went to class. Yeah. But yeah, and then the high, I would say the room felt silent. Wait, let me think of a high. Your resume looks better. That's all I got, guys.
I will piggyback off of that. I kind of miss going to class sometimes.
Going to class
I think I skipped class too much. So when COVID hit, that was my last semester of my senior year. And I was about to drop out because I'm like, I can't do this online thing. Like, I should have went to class because now I can't go and I am hating school right now. So, yeah, I kind of miss being in the classroom just a little bit.
The class it's fun. That's just, I would say some people be like, high school is the like best time of your life. No, college.
Yeah, college
it was a very highlighting moment.
Yeah,
and
sure.
If you went to the right university, it just felt like a little slice of heaven on earth.
Yeah, because you can't skip work, for real. Not as much as I was skipping class. You can't skip work like that. You have to go to work.
Believe it or not, I never skip class.
Not one.
You're very
never-
responsible, though. I believe you.
Never skip
You're
class.
responsible enough.
And I remember one time, oh, this is so embarrassing. I don't even know if I said it on the podcast. I remember one time I got my only C ever in college. Because I was like straight A's, maybe 1 or 2 B's. So I got my first C and I literally had a breakdown. I was like, oh, you're just so much better than this. I was crying and stuff. Like, that's very freaking pathetic. But like, I never skipped class. And then also I used to calculate the amount of money it took, which is why I graduated early. I'm like, the math has the math. Like I couldn't like skip class for something I was paying for. It didn't sit right with me. It would bother my spirit. That is true. Yeah.
And then here I did my homework.
Here I had that
Do your homework and pass
Right.
class.
I had the mentality of C's get degrees, so it was gonna happen.
Man, listen. No.
I had to tell my mama that one time. Because my mom was the type that, like, excellence, you have to do everything in excellence. Everything has to be top tier. Like, when I was younger, if I brought a B home, she'd be like, no, you know you could have done better than that. So C's were unheard of for me until college. And when I had my C in one of my math classes, I was so proud. And I told her, I'm like, Mom, like, this class was so hard for me. Like, I got a C. And she was like, C. Like, she was about to go off on me. And I'm like, stop it. I did my best.
Yeah.
This is what you get. I passed.
I was one of those people, like, if I didn't finish my homework, I'm like this now, like, even with my classes, if I don't do my homework on, like, when it first comes out, I can't even sleep at night. Like, I just have to do it. That's how I was in undergrad. Like, I just got shit done immediately, because then my dad was also very spontaneous, too, so he'll be like, all right, well, we're going to Atlanta in the morning at 8. I'll be like, okay. So I had to have my stuff done, because, like, the next thing I know, I'll be out of town and then coming right back to go to class. Yeah. Wait, did everybody else answer the question?
No, it was just us.
Sorry, go ahead.
First talking.
I was involved heavily in college my later years. So like my junior, senior year was when I really started to get involved with like organizations and stuff. And so I had like a lot of like networking, and I don't feel like the career part of it was my low, if you will, like finding what I wanted to do and like how I was gonna get there. It was more so like you said, like being able to have all these people all the time, like going to your friend's dorm, going to your friend's apartment, and then moving out. Because I moved out a year after, and sitting there on your couch, like, okay, now what? And you can't call Joe Schmo to be like, hey, let me get some sugar.
Yeah.
Now it's like you gotta go to Kroger, and like little stuff like that. Like mentally, I've had breakdowns where, because again, like all my family was in New York, so it's like, okay, like am I lonely? Like I didn't really have friends. I was still in a good job.
Not you with no friends. What?
I really not. Isn't that like when I first came back to school? I didn't really. My only main friends was my coworkers, because I didn't really hang out with people in Columbus like that. And I think I had.
We can bleep it
my
out.
my ex best friend and like 2 other girls outside of work that I also went to school with. But other than that, I was like, okay. And then I fell into that relationship trap, and it was up from there. So, yeah.
You're talking about it like it's a pyramid scheme. Your relationship as a pyramid scheme you in for 3 years. Come on, Briciana.
For me, I think a high that I've noticed so far post grad is just seeing like how I have how I have incorporated how I grew up in the real world. So it's kind of like interesting to see like how my parents raised me, and just seeing like who I am now post grad as opposed to when I was younger, and seeing what kind of like life lessons that my parents instilled into me, and just seeing how that works out for my life right now. I think the lows, a low. I don't know. I think I'm having fun right now. Like I feel like in college I did have my fun, but I think I like the freedom that I have now. So that would definitely be a high post grad. I mean, I did have freedom in college, but it's just a whole different experience like after college. So
People always talk about the freedom they have, like once they get their own spot and stuff like that. Did y'all feel that way? Like once you got your own spot, you have freedom.
Yes.
Oh
I
my
did. I
gosh.
definitely did.
I feel no.
When
I
you
feel
come
no
from a
different.
house where the
I don't feel any
doors
different.
creak so loud and you hear everything through the walls, and you got cameras in your garage, your front door, your garage door, the back door. Yeah.
Well, it's also like a lifestyle thing too. So
Mhm.
like I feel like I had freedom because I was like, hey, let me go do like I told my mom, I'm about to go do this, I'm about to go do that. And she was like cool with it, whereas I didn't really have like those restrictions, if that makes sense. But I mean, I appreciate doing dishes on my own time. Not to say they don't get done. Um, I appreciate having my own space, my peace. I think of like that side of freedom, absolutely.
Yeah. College gave me a lot of freedom, but I also feel like I'm still missing out on some of it because I've never lived alone. I've had my own apartments and like staying where I'm at now, where I'm about to move to, I still am going to have another person with me. Um, and I'm okay with that, but another part of me on a very low key, because I really do feed off of being around people. I don't like being alone a lot. Um,
You want that
but
experience of
yeah, like a very small part of me, maybe like 25% of me would like to live just like alone for a little bit, but I know that I wouldn't be good. I would not thrive in that type of space, just being by myself all the time. But yeah,
how would you know that though?
Yeah, how would you know?
because when I do try to shut myself off from people, that's when I get very depressed and I start to really get like into myself and I start to overthink and yeah, I can't. I can't do it.
But I feel like knowing how you are, you're a very adaptable person. Like if you did live by yourself, not saying that you will, but if you did live by yourself, you would create like different routines and stuff to where you wouldn't be thinking those things. If that makes
My
sense.
routine would be I would never be home. But to go to sleep. Like I kid you not, like yeah, I would be outside a lot if I lived alone.
You know what's crazy? I always used to like clown my parents for like certain stuff that they would do, like OCD, stuff like that. But ever since I've lived by myself, I've seen a lot of my parents and like the things that I do. So like I'm borderline OCD because of my father. I like things a certain way because of my mother, like as far as decor and stuff, 'cause she was very like upkept and et cetera, et cetera. So it's just always interesting to see like the little things that I do, like cleaning up in the morning or whatever, like knowing that my mom, when I was a kid, was doing those same things, seeing that reflect off of me. That's interesting.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that is crazy. I feel like the days go by so freaking fast. It's like I wake up and I blink and it's 5 p.m. I'm like, whoa! It's like, what is happening? And then you blink again and it's Thursday and you're like,
Yeah.
and then you walk out the door and you come back and you're 26 and your life is over. So it's just going so fast. We can move on to the next question.
Oh my God. Okay. How to let a friend know their faults in a correct manner.
Jeez, why did
In the correct manner.
this is about?
I think
Wait, say it
correct
like you read it
manner.
again.
How to let a friend know their faults in a correct
How
manner.
to let a friend know
You
their
have to
faults
let your friend know their faults correctly based off of how that person receives
Yeah.
love and critique.
Yep.
So there isn't necessarily a
How to.
manual on how to tell somebody that they wronged you. I definitely am on the side of giving the I statements. So I felt blank because of what you did in this situation, and not just like pointing the finger and making that person feel small. But you still have to know their love language and how they will receive things, because I can be mad at Bree and scream at her all day long about why I'm mad at her, but she may not receive that. So you may shut down, or you may like dead the friendship and not even want to talk because I'm coming at you wrong in the first place. But if you have to spend some quality time with that person, bring the situation up, y'all have good communication, y'all squash it out, then cool. So you just have to adapt to whoever you're talking to.
target your audience.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a big fan of giving your opinion unless somebody asks for it. But if you're going to do that, I think you should say, "Hey, can I say something? Can I give my opinion about this?" Um, Also, yeah, like you said, speaking in that person's language and cushioning the blow. Like, if it's about to be a heavy conversation, like, don't just come out of nowhere with it. Like, spend some quality time with this person, see what's going on with them, and then set some time aside to be like, you know what, let's do movie night. By the way, I gotta lay something very heavy on you. And yeah,
Yeah.
and hang out
Just
after
like
that
lead them
too.
in to like, okay, we need to talk about this. However, I still would like to spend some time, or I would still like to, do something that you like to do, because then that shows too, like, I still want to keep the
Yeah,
relationship.
I'm
I
not
just need
breaking
to
up.
let you know that what you did in this situation was hurtful, or I didn't appreciate whatever.
Yeah, not every conflict needs to result in a breakup.
Mhm.
You know, we can stay together because you're human just like me. So,
Mm.
you know, if we can stay together, we'll be friends even longer. Yeah.
Okay. I agree with everything. I feel like it's really about like the foundation too. Like y'all said, like if you're very open and honest and like your friendship starts out that way, like it's never an issue to be like, hey, you did this, you did that, and it's like squash. Where certain people like it's like, damn, now they're stressing about I gotta tell this person this thing and that thing. It's like you shouldn't feel that way having a conversation with your friend. It shouldn't feel like a heavy burden. It should be just like a normal conversation that you would have with them.
Also, accepting people for who they are too. Like when I made you my friend, I kind of accepted these things about you because this is how you core are. Like, yeah, we can change certain things, but like at your core, I know you're like you may be blunt, you may be passive, you may be whatever. You don't have a great attention span. You don't pay a lot of attention. So, I when I made you my friend, I accepted that about you. So I think also accepting people for who they are and where they are in life is also a big part of you having some peace afterwards. Because just because they won't change right now or they won't change 100%, like that's okay because you also accepted them for their other flaws as well.
All right, just like 2 more questions, guys, and then we're pretty much done.
Also,
In honor of Mental Health Awareness Month, this is May. This question is about high functioning anxiety in Black women.
what's the question?
It just says high functioning anxiety in Black
Oh,
women.
oh.
So I guess I can kind of reel this in. Do we know anybody with high functioning anxiety? Have we experienced that like personally with us? Or do we have any advice for someone who may be struggling with high functioning anxiety?
High functioning anxiety can look like a person, let's say, for example, you put off eating all day. You're like, I'm so busy, I have to do this task, this task, this task, but you put off, for example, eating all day. This is kind of funny, but like if you hold your pee and you wait till the last minute to go to the bathroom because you're putting so many things in front of that important thing, that's another sign, just a little subtle sign of high functioning anxiety. Also, when it gets really bad though, a big sign is not showering. Like if somebody's really I'm for real though. Like
Yeah.
if somebody it's getting really bad, the first thing is not showering. That leads down like a really dark path. But that's a big sign too. So if you know somebody who's in that situation, they may be showing signs of going from high functioning anxiety to like serious depression. Those are just, a few examples. I don't know anybody with it. I just know it from, education.
Um, Working with the demographic of women that I work with, I only work with Black women who are either pregnant or early postpartum. One thing that we do a lot is do postpartum depression screenings. But in general, like those things can show up during a prenatal period or afterwards, however we see fit. And I studied psych a little bit, and I know that you're very knowledgeable because of what you're studying for. Um, so I can kind of see things other than PPD in people. But I always ask when they're like telling me a situation and saying like, oh, like I'm feeling anxious because of this, I'm stressed out because of that. This is making me sad or whatever. Like I ask them more like thought-provoking questions because sometimes people can answer the questions that they have about what they're going through themselves when you just open the door for them to speak on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I never tell people like, oh, you need to go to therapy, you need help. I let them come to that decision themselves. or I'll ask, have you ever considered something like this? Because, you know, you may have talked to me on multiple occasions about this same type of thing and you're expressing these same emotions. Have you thought about going in for some type of group therapy, individual therapy? How do you feel about it instead of just telling somebody you need to go see this person? Because there is the stigma. I think we're getting better about it in the Black community of like making therapy like a normal thing. But it does scare a lot of people. And, you know, everybody has the right to feel how they feel, and people navigate their own mental health how they see fit. But the most beneficial thing that I do for people, and that I would suggest for people, if you do know somebody that you feel like maybe having it, or if you have it yourself, just find somebody that you are comfortable talking to and kind of let them lead you to that decision and you make it for yourself.
That was a great response. That was a mic dropper.
Oh, thank you. I'll take
There.
a sip of wine on that one.
Yeah. Anybody else want anything on that one?
Cool. Last question is about self-sabotaging. It just says self-sabotaging. You know the question stickers, like you can only have so many characters.
You only have 10 characters.
That's true.
Yeah. But have you ever been in a situation where you feel like you have self-sabotaged, or
How are we defining self-sabotage?
so?
You're saying self-sabotaging is like, I'm gonna say no before anybody else can say no.
Yeah.
So I can
You're
be like,
keeping your
yeah,
wall up.
I'm not good enough. Yeah. So I knew I wasn't good enough for that. So I'm saying no before anybody else can say no, or I knew that wasn't gonna work because, you know, I already know I'm not good enough for this. It's like setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, I just watched a movie, and someone was dealing with self-sabotage. So like the situation was, it was a man. His mother, was a drug addict and chose men over him. So he didn't want to give himself over to a woman because he felt like, well, she's just gonna leave me anyway.
There you go.
So that's an example
Yeah.
of self-sabotage.
Feeling like you don't deserve. You like, I deserve love. I deserve love. And as soon as you get it, you're like, I don't deserve love.
Yeah, like get away from me. No, stop it.
So yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that was the name for it. I've
Mhm.
personally definitely done that before. But yeah.
Okay, so how have you navigated through that since you have experience in it?
I don't think I have yet. That's still something that I'm trying to learn to get through. But yeah, if anyone has any advice on how to get out of that.
I think I've dealt with that as well. Not really like the love part, but like having someone come into my life, like a man come into my life and like talk all this good stuff, and me just having a natural wall up because I know that first impressions matter, and you could say one thing back a completely different way. I think now I'm able to give grace and not really like shut down people as much as I used to. Um, but like there's still always a part of me that's like, okay, well, what if this happens? This is how I know how to handle the situation.
I think it's good to know what is making you self-sabotage yourself. And then going back to the advice that I gave on the last question is, once you find out what it is, are you okay with seeking help in that situation? Because most times when you self-sabotage, like you end up hurting yourself in the long run. You miss out on opportunities, relationships, and everything like that once you are self-sabotaging. So once you figure out what that thing is, like what your trigger point is, then you can better navigate how to readjust your thinking and move about it in a different way.
I think for me personally, it stems from like letting too many people in at first. So then now like I have this wall up because I let so many people in. So now I'm trying to find that balance. So basically, so I know what the reason is. I just am trying to learn how to move through it, move past it. So
Another way to self-sabotage is the imposter syndrome. So that's like you have all the capabilities and you know that you can do it, but once you get that opportunity to be like that top dog, that's like, oh wait, there's definitely somebody that's better than me that can do this. Like, why are y'all putting this trust in me? Like, if you get a raise, you're like, oh yeah, I got this raise, and then you get this promotion that goes along with the raise, and it's like, oh, okay, everything is good, and then your first day with that new position, you're like, wait a minute, I'm not good enough for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just believe in yourself. You got it. You got it.
It comes with a lot of like maturing though through like experience. So,
Yeah.
have y'all ever been triggered? Yes or no? And then if you have been, how did you deal with being triggered in the moment?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'll go first. So, because it literally just happened to me. I've personally been triggered from, about something that has always been a trigger within my life since I was a child. And I was really proud of myself because I really told that person, like, this triggers me. This is why I responded that way. I apologize and I'm trying to move through it. So, yeah. But I mean, normally I would just be like, I would just either like shut down or completely just like be very upset about what happened and what triggered me. But I was really proud of myself that I was able to confront the situation, apologize, and just take accountability of my actions. So,
I agree with that. Shutting down is a big thing that I do when I'm either triggered by something or just met with some type of like resistance. I hate arguing. Like, I really do. I hate feeling like I'm being backed into a corner or like, making somebody else upset to the point where I'm like, I feel like I'm in danger. So yeah, I definitely agree with the whole shutting down thing. There was one situation, it was maybe like this winter, and I was triggered by something, and I just started like crying uncontrollably. And it was to the point where it was like a wailing type cry, like panic attack type thing. And that had never happened to me before. So I needed to like really address that. But luckily it was a situation with a person who I am very comfortable with talking to and expressing myself, and everything is good. Um, and other times when I'm triggered, I just need to walk away because I feel like my blood boiling and I just need to go. So if it's a situation that we're in and I'm like, I need to leave and I need to leave now, let me go. Because if not, it might turn a little physical.
Fight or freeze.
Yeah.
You want to give your trigger example?
I was trying to think of like a moment where like if I don't really use the word trigger, but like I have trust issues and those trust issues have to do with men. I don't think it's ever really been like a core example of me being triggered, but I think that the whole like getting to know somebody, like I said before, and them saying that they could do X, Y, and Z, like I don't really know if that's a trigger or like self-sabotaging, if you will. But I've never had like a core example like being triggered. Like thinking, because when I hear trigger, I think of something that happened that like emotionally damaged you, and this one thing or one action reminded you of that, and
Like
now
a
you're mentally
PTSD
brought
type of
back.
thing?
Yeah, you're mentally brought back to that space, and I don't think I've ever.
I don't really get triggered. But if like, say I'm dating a guy, well, here's the thing. So I don't always say what I think. I say a small portion of the things I think, not everything. Can't say everything. So if I'm dating a guy, and this happens sometimes, I don't know why, but a lot of like people come from families where like they cuss at you, and that's just like not ever been my thing. So like if a guy is mad at me and starts cussing at me, it's gonna trigger me to say them 90% of things that I wanted to say to you, but I was holding back because I was sparing your feelings. And now you in the car crying because I done said some shit that went. So that was so fucked up. So yeah.
So someone men cursing at you is a trigger for you.
Well, it triggers me to want to say everything that some mean things I wanted to say, but I was holding my tongue for because I didn't grow up in situations in where I was being cussed at. I don't get nobody cussing at me. So, if he's angry and he's cussing at me, I'm like, well, I'm about to call you all types of names and really lay it out for you. And you're probably gonna hate
And
me.
get a clip.
You're gonna be like, Lauren, you're just a mean person. Yes.
Yeah, I think I relate to that too because I didn't grow up seeing my father cursing at my mom.
Nope.
So if a grown man curses at me, oh yeah, I'm gonna be pissed.
I'm gonna empty the clip on you, and then you're gonna be really in your feelings, like, damn, I can't believe that's what you thought the whole time. It's like, yeah, that's how you end up calling men by the wrong name.
That has
on
definitely
purpose.
happened to me.
Because I don't do all that. And then I don't curse at guys. Like I don't do none of this
Yeah.
because I don't want to meet you at that level. Like ain't no reason I need to be doing with that to you. So if a guy cusses at me, like in conversation, he's mad at me or something, oh yeah, we probably ain't talking after that.
It depends on the severity of the situation. Because if I don't feel like the situation is that deep and you doing all this rah rah, then I'm just gonna laugh in your face and then you gonna be even more mad.
Even more
You're gonna
upset.
be even more mad. But I'm like, bro, like, are you tripping?
And
Like,
when I say
it's not
trigger,
that deep.
I don't mean like any PTSD because I don't have any traumatic experiences with somebody cussing at me.
Yeah.
It's just triggering me to say that 90% that I don't say.
Yeah.
Like cause and effect.
And once you turn it on, I don't know if you can turn it back off. So yeah.
Okay. I think this was a very good conversation. That was all the questions that you guys had. So thank you so much for engaging with us on our social media. Again, Instagram is Black Women Link with 2 Ks up.
If you want to email us, get our advice on something, tell us a story, ask us any questions, anything like that, you can always email us at blackwomenlinkup@gmail.com. That's 2 Ks with a link up at gmail.com.
Yes, we'll
Two
definitely
Ks
do
and a link.
another episode like this for sure. I feel like this was very fun just to kind of get more feedback from you all. So yeah, that was
And we are looking for men to be in a battle of the sexes. episode.
calling all guys.
That may or may not be live. So, but don't insert yourself if you're not a wholesome. I don't want to say wholesome, but if you can't,
Well-rounded.
yeah,
Then well-rounded like this.
yeah, well-rounded. Yep. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm Reese.
I'm Camille.
I'm Bree.
I'm Lauren.
And this
This
is
is
Black
Black
Women
Women
Link
Link
Up.
Up.